Where'll you be going?
Texas?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Go on, make it happen.
And now here's Steve and Michelle.
Welcome from the heart of Dripping Springs. We are Mallet and Michelle, hosted by me, Michelle Lewis, and Steve Mallet.
Who's not wearing a denim shirt today?
You aren't wearing a denim
Look at
shirt,
this.
but it's still blue.
It's not denim though.
True. I'm very proud of you on that
This is a
sense.
very nice shirt.
It
Free.
isn't.
Free shirt.
Free with purchase.
It's free shirt day.
Free with purchase. Hey, who are we going to have on the podcast today? I'm going to butcher his last name. We're going to have
I'm
Austin.
going to say it,
Austin.
and then we'll see if I'm right.
Okay.
It's Austin, which I know that's correct. Sepulveda.
And what did I say?
Sepulveda.
Sepulveda.
And I think we got a 50-50 chance of being right. But when Austin comes on, he will tell us which is the correct way. He is the owner of Austin-Art, OSTEN-Art, and he's a muralist. And I guarantee all of the listeners and the people watching on Instagram Live have seen some of his murals in Austin. He's very, very talented.
Yeah, I'm excited to have him on. And
Yep.
he's a painter also, a muralist painter.
Yeah, so he does. Looks like all of his paintings are done with airbrush, sort of like a graffiti artist, but not a graffiti artist. So got to thank our sponsors today. Could
Absolutely.
not do the show without all our wonderful sponsors. Let's start off with the first one today. Mallet Integrity Team, real estate.
I hear this.
45 years in the real estate business.
They're nice people, I heard.
No, I haven't heard that. And
She seems cool, though.
yeah. Nomic Power Solutions, backup power generation. Love those guys.
Jovi Belterra.
If you're 55 and up and you want to live in a cool place.
Not yet.
Not yet. I'm there. I've been there.
Not yet.
And South Star Bank.
South Star Bank.
Home of the famous rodeo clown. Brent
Absolutely.
Gibbs.
Hey, I hear he's going to be back on at
He's
some
coming
point.
back on. I think he's going to tell us how to be a famous rodeo clown.
I don't know. Maybe he should bring his rodeo clown outfit.
Maybe he should. A little face paint. Remember I don't remember what episode it was. It was, 30 or 40 episodes ago. We had Sarah Rose on from the library.
Yes.
And they were doing a big fundraiser called Unlocking Learning DS.
Okay.
And they had a goal to raise $100,000. And I just got an email from them this morning. They raised $112,000. So yes, our library here in Dripping is going to be so cool. I can't wait to see it. All right. Big news in Dripping Springs.
Breaking news
Breaking news.
now. This is a game changer for Dripping Springs, I think.
You're not kidding. The lawsuit that Save Our Springs. Am I bothering you with my stack of papers?
You are
there,
touching
Michelle?
my side of the desk. This is my side of the desk.
That's an imaginary line. I
That
can
is
cross
your
that
side of the
imaginary line.
desk.
Okay, so the Save Our Springs filed a lawsuit back in 2019 to put a stop to the TCEQ, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, had issued a permit to the city of Dripping Springs for a discharge permit into Onion Creek, which at the time a lot of people were spreading the very false rumor that what was going to happen was sewer was going to come from your toilet and dump right into Dripping
We were
Springs.
going to be drinking poo-poo water.
Yes, which is there's nothing like that. It basically allowed the city of Dripping Springs to start selling treated effluent as irrigation. So like
Driftwood Golf Course,
yes,
right?
yeah, they obviously right now what they're doing is they're taking potable water, drinkable water, and spraying it out over golf courses and landscape. Calaterra wants to take it. Obviously, all the sports fields, the parks can all take that now. So the Save Our Springs actually can ask for another hearing, but the Texas Supreme Court on April 11th decided for the city of Dripping Springs and dismissed this lawsuit. So now the city of Dripping Springs, and Bill Folds has already reached out to us. We're going to try and get him on for a comment.
We'll have a special episode.
Yeah.
The water episode.
That's right. Dun, dun, dun. they've been working on this thing for 12 years and they've been just
12
stopped.
years?
Yes, this has been in process for 12 years. So 12 years ago, the city of Dripping Springs identified that they were going to need more sewer capacity and put this plan in place, and then Save Our Springs just threw a giant wrench in there. I was looking back. We had Bill Bunch from Save Our Springs on to talk about this in episode 68. So for our listeners, go back and listen to that one. I thought it was very insightful about where they're coming from, which my 2 cents is they just want to stop everything.
They're a very litigious organization.
That's pretty much what they do. Their whole thing is let's raise money and go file lawsuits to stop development everywhere we can.
Steve, what does this mean for the average person here in Dripping Springs? What, in lay terms, what is run this out for me? So
from my real estate point of view,
okay,
buy stuff in Dripping Springs right now. Buy property in Dripping Springs because this town, I know we've had problems with traffic and some infrastructure. This town's going to go nuts. We're going to double our sewer capacity here in town. It's just going to open it up for so much more development. The city has a pretty good handle on this as far as what they want in town, but now... So a lot of people don't know this. The HEB expansion that we've all wanted for years and years, do you know why that's been on hold?
Because of this?
Because they didn't have any sewer capacity.
Interesting.
So now it's just going to allow some of these things we all want here in town.
And we're not going to be drinking poo-poo water, right?
Not drinking poo-poo water.
Okay.
So the court said when they dismissed this that the SOS argument was not supported by science. That it was I don't think they used the word frivolous, but it was basically a frivolous lawsuit.
So I bet this is going to set a precedent for other communities, right?
So I'm glad you said that. So part of this was there were a lot of cities watching this, and if the Texas Supreme Court had ruled for SOS in this case, it would have dampened a lot of cities in the ability to expand their wastewater treatment plants.
So help a brother out. Send some money to Dripping Springs because we did the lawsuit for you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there was a bunch of people sending money to Save Our Springs. So, I mean, it's a great thing. The city, I think they're going to be overrun now probably with people that want to develop things. Hopefully they'll be real smart about it. And I think they have a record of doing that, of being real smart about development. But I'm glad that I own 4 properties in Dripping Springs now. I'm really glad I own those. I might even try and buy more. This town is you're not going to recognize it
So
in 10 years.
Do you think this will have anything or any standing on the Fitzhugh music venue that they're wanting to open? Is these just two separate?
Because they're not on wastewater. That was a separate thing. I don't know if SOS has sued them or not. I'd be surprised if they hadn't. Yeah, I'm sorry. Anything. Yeah. But, the second question there, is all this development good or bad? That's a separate conversation. The development is going to come now. Hopefully, TxDOT, Hayes County, City of Dripping Springs recognize we really got to get on top of the infrastructure we need to handle what's coming. But this was a big step. I think this is probably one of the biggest things that's happened in this town in a long time.
Wow. Well, buckle up, buddy.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Buckle up. So I talked about your shirt, and last week, your brand new shirt.
Made in China.
Made in China. Well,
Made in China.
Last week we were talking about a little bit about our tariffs. And do you think that everything that says made in America is really made in America? I mean, are you trusting the labels in that sense?
No, I do not.
I wouldn't trust anything about right now. The whole trade drama that's going on, that's unfolding between China and the U.S. and the European Union that's been brought in.
Michelle? China.
But it's like a big global economic soap opera that's kind of going on over there. U.S. hit China with these monster tariffs. People are kind of panicking a little bit.
China hit back with some more massive tariffs.
China hit back, and then China was really, from my understanding, China was worried about all of the inventory that they were going to have, so they went to the European, the EU, and they were trying to unload some of this stuff, and they were like, no, because we don't want your stuff flooding our market too.
Which drives prices down.
Prices down. They were worried about, the quote was, they were worried about Chinese goods flooding the market and tanking local industries, which, what a novel idea. So U.S. is trying to do the same thing. So they also they fired back and they put tariffs up. I guess it was up to 37%. Honestly, probably this all changes day to day. So who knows where we are now. But my favorite part is, let's kind of switch gears a little bit, is China is fighting back, or the China factories where all of these things are coming from are fighting back. And they have gone to my favorite platform, TikTok.
No,
And
which is owned by the Chinese government, I guess, in
which
part.
is owned by, which they can't even have their own TikTok. But they have gone to TikTok, these factories, and they are exposing all of your, quote, made in America, made in Italy, made in France, made in wherever you're saying they're coming from, and they're calling them out, and they're saying, yeah, you guys are all using the same supply chains. It's all made here in these 3 or 4 or 5 factories here in China. The biggest
Misconception?
the biggest person or country that is doing this is Italy.
Really?
There are more products that are saying they're being made in Italy, and really what they're doing is they're building this purse. Let's take a Hermes purse for instance,
Thought it
or
was
a Birkin.
Hermes.
Or a Birkin. Let's take a
Okay,
Birkin.
Birkin,
A
okay.
Birkin, you can buy a Birkin purse for up to $300,000.
Ridiculous.
They're very good quality, amazing quality.
There's no such thing as a.
But
that quality doesn't matter that much.
This one TikToker took it and it broke it all the way down. Like, okay, so they only use this type of leather. This is like $1,200 US dollars. They use this type of clasp. This is $700, and they started adding it all up. And at the end of the day, it was $2,500.
For this $300,000 purse.
For this $300,000. But they're all offender. That was the word I was looking for. The biggest offender is Italy.
Okay.
And some of the biggest names, Hermes, Dior, Burberry, Gucci, Armani, Dolce & Gabbana, Louis Vuitton. I mean, you just...
Hugo Boss.
Hugo Boss, the list, because I don't know about Hugo Boss. I didn't see that one. But you're basically paying thousands and thousands of dollars. Now, there's also a site that I have used in the past. It's called DHgate. And have you ever heard of this?
No.
Okay, so DHgate is a Chinese website, shopping website that you go, and it literally is a cluster bleep. You have to go on and there's like many different sellers. So let's say I wanted to buy a belt, and they cannot say it's a Dior belt. You go look for a belt that looks like it, and then you go look at the reviews, and you look who has the closest. But what they are saying now is you were buying counterfeits, but now what they're saying is you were buying the real deal for $40.
Yeah, it's counterfeit, though.
Why is it counterfeit?
It might be made exactly the same way, but it's not made by Dior.
Who cares?
Well,
so
I agree.
$4,000 or $40, right?
So, but here's the thing: like a Ferrari. How much of a Ferrari car do you think is the image? Which is they spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year on Formula One racing. They sell merchandise across the world. So that has to be built into the product.
Don't care.
They sell. No, I don't care either.
If 80% of my Ferrari looks like a Ferrari and it says Kia on it, don't care.
Well, you don't care, but there's a lot of people out there that if it's not really from Hermes or whatever, they don't want it.
Well, they are saying now that 80% of all products, all consumer goods are made in China. And the end product, they're slapping on the Dior brand or whatever.
All the pieces are shipped from China to Italy and assembled in Italy? No,
they're assembled in China.
Really?
And so they're exposing all of this. And I'm talking about not only purses or luxury goods, shoes, apparel, like Lululemon. Lululemon, a pair of leggings will cost you like $110, $120. I found this TikTok and it's going all over. I can buy them from China for $5 now. Of course, I have to buy 500 of them for $5, but I can buy them for $5. They're wanting these manufacturers, these factories are saying go directly.
Product without the Lululemon
same
logo.
Exact product. Exactly. Furniture, same thing. They're also teaching you how to get around some of the tariffs. And one of the things that I was reading about the EU is that China was trying to ship their stuff to Europe, the European countries, because the tariffs weren't as high. They would cut a deal with them, and then America could buy from Europe, and that therefore cutting some of that tariff. And they didn't want to get in trouble. They didn't want to cause some kind of trade war, blah, blah, blah. But Okay, so I've listed like the Dior's and the Louis Vuittons and the bougie brands, right? But I'm gonna throw some brands out at you. Now, it doesn't mean the entire thing is made there, but I'm gonna
You're
say,
asking the wrong guy, Michelle.
oh, but wait, LL Bean, Levi Strauss,
Oh, these are all made in China?
New Balance, Radio
Oh, I
Flyer,
thought New Balance was made in the U.S.
U.S. Major League Baseballs, Chevy Silverados, Ram 1500s, Brock's Candy, American Girl dolls. American Girl dolls are made in China.
American flags.
Chuck Taylor All-Star shoes.
No way. Made in China.
Ray-Ban. These are just a little. Yeah.
Wow.
So, in other words, in other news, I know China. They steal intellectual property. There's a big problem. One of the arguments I heard was, and this is the main reason why we should not trust China, because we are sending all of our.
Yeah, apparently you got to be really careful about building something in China, because you send them your drawings, your diagrams for what you want built to the factory there. They instantly give them to somebody else so they can be copied. So it's really hard to keep. Even if you have a patent on it, China does not care.
And then you buy it on DHgate
for $4.
For $4.
It looks like a $4,000 belt.
You go to Temu and you buy some butter.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? One of the things that I saw also, which had the internet all up in arms. Okay, laundry pods.
The internet was up in arms?
Crazy.
Oh my God, has that ever happened before?
Do you use laundry pods or do you use liquid soap?
We use pods.
Okay, so how much do you pay for like a big thing of Tide? If you had to just guess,
$20.
$20. In China now, you can order them directly from the factory. 20 of those for $1.
Get out of here.
Yep, $1.
Yeah, I'm sure that's really good for you.
It's the same
It's
thing.
the same.
It's the same thing.
Okay. It's the same.
It's the same
So,
thing.
in order for us to afford these $300,000 purses, we need to win the lottery, Michelle.
I need to win. Do you play?
I never do. And I always say I should play the lottery, but I never do.
We only buy lottery tickets, I think, at Christmas time for stockings, but very rarely, like unless it's like really big.
Stop playing with your butter. She's playing with their butter.
I'm going to karate
For
chop
those
the
that
butter.
are listening on the podcast, she has this little cheap fake butter thing that's all squishy, and she keeps playing with it. So the people on Instagram Live can see it.
Cut the butter.
I read about this, and at first I was kind of like, wow, that sounds illegal. There's a Texas lottery scandal. There's a guy this gambler, they call him the Joker, that has taken down the Texas lottery. And this all started in spring of 2023 when this guy, Bernard Marintelli.
They don't call him Maurice?
They don't call him Maurice, no. Sometimes they call him the Space Cowboy, though. Or the Gangster of Love.
Oh, the Gangster of Love. That's him.
That's pretty fun. This guy, Bernard Marintelli, reached out to a few contacts asking, how can we take down the Texas lottery? And his plan was to buy nearly every possible combination of numbers in the upcoming drawing of the lottery, which was $95 million. And they estimated, or they figured out, if they bought every possible combination, there's 25.8 million combinations, right?
Okay. And $95 million.
$95 million. The tickets are how much each?
$1.
So 25.8 million tickets, $25 million. If you win the $95 million prize, you pocket $60 million. The only way it doesn't work out is if some other person guesses one of those combinations, because then you'd have to split it with them. So in that case, instead of getting 60 million, they'd get roughly 30 million.
Wait, the math ain't mathing for me in my head. So it's 25.
So it's $25 million to buy every possible ticket combination.
Okay.
The winning was $95 million.
Oh, the winning was $95 million.
Yes.
But what about the taxes? Oh,
well, you
so
got to take the taxes out of that.
Okay.
But if you win $60 million and you send 20 to the IRS, you're still $40 million ahead. So this guy, Marintelli, worked out. There's a company now called lottery.com where you can buy tickets online, for your lottery tickets online. You don't have to go into a convenience store. And the way they make money is they get 5% of all of the ticket sales and of the winnings. So
the only thing I did hear about a woman winning on that platform, and they weren't honoring her because she bought it on a platform.
I haven't heard about that. I didn't see that in this story. So what they did was they reached out to lottery.com. Lottery.com mailed them terminals to print these tickets because they had to print 25.8 million tickets. And I think they had 3 machines working 3 days in a row, 24/7, pumping out 100 tickets a second.
Ooh.
And you think about it, you can't just pop the 25 or almost 26 million tickets out and stack them on a table, because at some point when you win, you got to find the winning ticket, right?
Oh,
you
yeah.
imagine sifting through.
Yeah.
So they had to, as they were printing them, they had a whole group of people that were sorting them and filing them in boxes so that they could go find the winning ticket. It's actually pretty ingenious. So this whole thing was funded by this Tasmanian gambler. His name is Zeljko Renogovic. And this is the guy they know as the Joker. He has spent his entire life betting billions of dollars on these types of things. They're estimating he spent over $10 billion in these type of schemes around the world with scratch-offs, lottery tickets. It's like they use sort of Wall Street analytics to figure out how they can game a system and make sure they win. It's kind of crazy. I got a couple of things here I wanted to read from the story. They throw piles of money at it. This is betting an estimated $10 billion annually. This guy bets $10 billion.
Where is he getting the $25 million from? They're all just like pulling the money.
This guy's won money all around the world. This guy, Marantelli's team recruited one such seller, struggling startup, Lottery.com, to help with the logistics, buying and printing of millions of tickets. Like all lotto retailers, it would collect 5% sales commission. So Lottery.com got a couple $100,000.
So are they closing him down, the lottery?
So it's kind of funny because when the attorney general heard about it, he just assumed it was illegal. It's not illegal. It's not illegal on actually any level. You could totally do that. You could buy every ticket, every combination you want. Since this happened, the lottery commission has changed the machines where each terminal can only print a certain number of tickets per day. Oh. So it's going to be a little harder doing that going forward. But these guys have moved on to someplace else.
Yeah,
they don't care
They've
now.
moved on to Illinois.
Yep. Governor Abbott this past February ordered the Texas Rangers to investigate. And he says the state's residents deserve a lottery that is fair and transparent for everyone. Turns out it's not illegal. But it's they interviewed this Maryland lottery director, John Martin, on a podcast in January, and he said, "How is this any different than an investment group buying stocks to gain an advantage over time in the marketplace? I don't know that it is. You can take a holier than thou attitude and say, well, it's not right, it's not fair, but it's not illegal, and it's probably not a bad business strategy."
You know, it's funny. I feel like if I won the lottery, it would be completely by accident, and also I would have lost my ticket, or it would have expired.
That's true, isn't it?
Or it sat on my refrigerator for
somebody
a year.
put it in your stocking, and you're like, I won, and then you never find your ticket. So.
Yeah, that's how I'm going to win the lottery for sure. So we have Austin on, which I'm excited to interview him. But do you know who Banksy is? Have you ever heard of Banksy?
I've heard of that, but I don't know.
He's a pseudonymous, I said that.
Wow.
British street artist, and he's an activist, and he is also known for his satire works. And his works often are appearing in public spaces, streets, walls, bridges, sometimes or I wouldn't even say sometimes, the majority of the time, out of nowhere. Like I read a story about a British woman. She got a call from her tenant and says, somebody graffitied on the side of the apartment, and the landlord went out there, and sure enough, it was a Banksy. And so they were trying to figure out how to preserve it. It was a woman. She had a black eye, a frying pan was on the ground, and there was like an old discarded freezer, like an actual freezer. And on the other side of the freezer, you could see her husband's or somebody's feet coming out of the freezer. And so there was like this whole hubbub. But one of his works sold for $25.4 million.
How do they sell it if it's on a wall?
I think they're just trying to figure out how to preserve. I don't know. I'm honestly don't know. I don't know if they take the wall out. They brick it. I don't know. But he's also done like things on canvas too. That one I just mentioned, the 25.4, Love is in the Bin. It is a child Oh, wait, is that the one?
I'm looking
Oh,
at
sorry.
his website and
Yeah.
actually, it's
did
not
you see
his
the one with the
website.
child with the heart balloon? When that went to
Yeah.
auction, and then as soon as the auction closed, the painting started shredding.
Oh, I
yeah,
did see
Love
that.
is in the
I'm
bin.
going to show this to our
Let's see if you
people
could.
that on YouTube.
Yeah,
Can you
that's
see
that's
that?
the Love is in the bin.
Can you see it on the camera?
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. So in the spirit of that, I thought I would talk about, not that we have a little Banksy here in Austin, but I would like to talk about
maybe
some
we
of the.
do. He's very talented.
Well, but I would like to talk about some of the murals that we have around town. So we talked about before the "I Love You So Much" at Joe's Coffee House on Congress.
That's got to be one of the most photographed things.
Oh, you would
That
think so.
And the,
Oh, wait, I'm coming to that one.
sorry.
Coming to that one. But, we talked about it, how it was kind of a note to her partner. She was having a bad day, and it's been graffitied over, and
Yeah.
they've painted it. Then we also have the Greetings from Austin. That one is on 1721st Street, and it shows Austin's landmarks, the state capitol, the Congress Bridge, the Austin skyline, and that one's inspired by a vintage postcard, which is really cool. So people get your pictures taken by that. Have you seen the Willie for President? I got my picture taken in front of that one.
not seen that.
The
Is that
Willie,
on 3rd Street?
That one is 1200. I think it says South 11th Street, and it's a nod to Willie Nelson's activism and his deep Austin roots. That one's really, really cool. I think Kendall, one of her senior pictures, was in front of that one. And then we have the Hi. How are you? That is Jeremiah the Bullfrog. It's at the UT campus. It's 21st Street and Guadalupe. And again, his name is Jeremiah.
I took Tyler over there. We took pictures there one day. It's so simple, but it's so cool.
When it was first built, it was actually one of the first murals that went up, and it symbolizes mental health awareness here in Austin.
Okay.
And then we also have the Texas mural, which is 1501 6th Street. That's kind of right around Rainey Street, and it has state flags, longhorns, blue bonnets, and it's a tribute to the Texas's rich history and culture. But I'm looking forward to seeing where some of Austin's murals are up and around Austin. And, we have our own little down here in Dripping Springs, which is kind of off Mercer. It's not really a mural. It's just like this Texas flag
That
that's
old
painted.
Texas flag
And with
on,
the AC unit that kind of
yeah.
comes right out
We
of
did
it.
team pictures there
Yes.
like 10 years ago. Yeah.
I think it's really cool, but I
very iconic.
love to be able to see someone's talent like that. When you go to Nashville, those are all over also
You
the
know what
murals.
we should do? I think we should maybe, when we talk to Austin, maybe we should try and do a fundraiser to have a special mural done in Dripping Springs, to celebrate our cool little town.
That sounds really good. Well, we also have the stars that are down there also, which
Yeah.
are really
the stars
amazing.
Are gorgeous, yeah.
And they're going to have a second installation here in a couple of months at some of the businesses also. So I think some of the businesses are going to highlight those. But
Well, I'm very excited. Austin, Sepulveda. We'll find out here in a second, but I looked at his website. It's osten-art.com, and he's very talented.
Yeah.
So let's take a little break and get Austin in here. Sit tight. We'll be right back.
are you tired of being left in the dark when the power goes out? Say goodbye to blackouts with Nomic Power Solutions.
As your full-service Generac dealer, they offer individually designed backup power solutions.
From start to finish, they've got you covered.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Nomic Power Solutions. Protect your home, protect your family, stay ready. Southstar Bank has remained true to its Texas roots for over 100 years. A commitment to the people and communities they serve, along with flexible financial solutions, allow their clients to shine. Mortgage loans, checking accounts, or complete business solutions. Southstar Bank is your financial partner. Southstar Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, built for Texas.
SouthstarBank.com. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. NMLS 410624. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This vibrant 55 and up community is located in Dripping Springs, just right outside of Austin. 1- and 2-bedroom homes, resort-style amenities, and just steps away from shops and restaurants. Forget the yard work. This is your time to relax, make new friends, and enjoy the life you've dreamed of. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. Live JoviBelterra.com. 737-387-6870.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com. And now here's Steve and Michelle.
And we're back with Austin Sepulveda. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I said the name right, and Michelle was wrong, wasn't she? Say
No.
it. Say it, Austin. Say it.
I was right. Austin, we're going to lock the door and you are not leaving this studio until you said I was
Michelle
right.
was wrong.
I was right.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Okay, whatever.
Austin, thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, man, anytime. I'm excited to be here.
Well, good. I think Michelle saw some of your art on Facebook, and that's why she reached out. So we want to get to that in a minute, but are you a Texan? Are you born and raised in Texas, or where'd you grow up?
Born and raised in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Yes,
all
sir.
right. True Texan.
Oh, yeah.
How'd you end up in Austin?
Well, my mom is from Austin. I've had family here my whole life, so I've been coming to Austin since I was born, so for 30 years.
Okay.
And always loved Austin over the big city, so I moved out here the day after I graduated high school.
Who wouldn't if you live in Houston?
Yeah, no kidding.
The armpit of Texas, that's what I say.
Did you know what you were going to do when you moved to Austin, or you were just, I'm Austin bound?
Yeah, I had no idea, really. I was going to go to ACC, which didn't do.
Oh, yeah.
But basically just wanted to get out of Houston as fast as
Yeah.
possible. Yes, sir.
And so when you first got here, what did you do? What got you going out here?
I was painting. I've always been painting, so I was doing that. But I was just doing pizza delivery and just kind of figuring my life out, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you got into welding?
I did. That was a few years later, but yeah, I
Okay.
got into welding after I went to college for a year at Texas State, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, I got into welding after
That's
that.
where he learned to party, was at Texas State.
That's a fact. Also, I decided to go to welding school instead.
Yeah,
I was
safer.
going to ask you, so you actually went to a
Safer.
welding school, huh?
I did, yeah. I actually ended up going to ACC years later to go to
welding
yeah,
school.
they have a really good welding program there, actually.
I want to do that. I want to learn how to weld.
We are not giving you hot tools. Immediately, no. Have you always been interested in art ever since you were a kid?
Yeah, since I can remember. My mom said that when I was really little, I'd come home from like daycare and we did a bunch of art projects and stuff like that. And I always just loved painting. So she used to let me paint on the walls of my room and just
that's
kind of
cool.
gave me the space and the stuff to, I guess express myself.
Yeah. So the mural thing started at a really young age.
Yeah,
it
right.
sounds
You're
like.
Yeah.
drawing.
Murals in your room at 3 years old.
Yeah, right.
Do you think that what you have is a God-given talent, or do you think you've acquired this like just through years of practice, or do you think some of it is just you were just born with it?
I think it's both. I think part of it, I think the drive to make art is the God-given part. And then me continuing to work on that is the me part. And together they create whatever
magic.
this is. Yeah.
That's a great question, Michelle.
You're welcome. I chat
I'm going to mark
GPT'd
this
it.
down.
No, I
That's
didn't.
really, that's a really
I
good
didn't
question.
chat.
Well, so did you go to school for art along the way? Did you just sort of go along with this, creating this talent?
A little bit of both, I guess. I took art classes like everyone else in elementary school, middle school, and high school. My freshman year, I actually had a horrible art teacher that told me I should quit.
Oh, geez.
And so,
That's a good one.
Nobody that should ever be an art teacher that would say that to a kid.
Right. I think she was a little bitter, but
Because you were better than her, huh?
I don't know. Not then. To be fair, I wasn't an amazing artist at that point.
Hey, Austin,
but-
what's her name? No.
Oh my God, I can't remember. She was actually my homeroom teacher in high school.
Let's
one
call
year
her out.
too.
You want to call her right now? Let's
Yeah,
call
right. If I knew her number, I would. I'd be like, hey, guess what?
her. Suck it, lady.
But yeah, no, I dropped it. So I didn't take art anymore. And I was like, whatever, I'm just going to make art myself and not take art. My mom convinced me my sophomore year that I should just get a different teacher. And I did, and she was the best art teacher I've ever had in my entire life.
It's so funny how times in life like that can change the direction of your life. Just that little decision.
It's catapult you off. So because you were in Houston, did you ever get to participate in any of the Houston rodeo stuff? Like have your art in the Houston rodeo? That's one of my favorite parts when I go to the rodeo is I go all the way down and just look at all the kids' art, and it's just so amazing.
I have like a vague memory of like elementary school or something. Maybe we did something like that, but I didn't really do anything like that as I got older. I guess. Yeah, I was more into like drawing like tiki, like tropical surf art, that kind of stuff. So I don't think it really fit the rodeo
Houston rodeo vibe.
So some of your art has a little bit of a graffiti flair to it. Mm-hmm. Were you ever a graffiti artist?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty much how I got started with like spray paint and all that kind of stuff.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me about that.
When I was probably like 12 or 13, I think, I was skateboarding a lot. And so we were skating in ditches and at public skate parks, and there was always graffiti. And so I just kind of was enamored by it.
That's
and
cool.
The ability to just like pick something up and write on stuff was kind of, it just drew me in.
Yeah.
And so, I always was painting, and I never was really big into like defacing people's property or anything like that, but I always felt like ditches, tunnels, mainly places I wasn't very good at the time either. So places where people couldn't really see me practicing.
Yeah.
Did you ever climb up on like on Mopac, you see it like where it says, exit here, and then you see somebody is drawing something?
No comment.
The statute of limitations is way past, Austin.
I'm fascinated, but like
how
do they, hypothetically, how would you climb up there with a can of spray paint? You sticking it in your pants or, like climbing it, you just...
Use a backpack, a satchel. There's a lot of
That's interesting.
things you can use.
How about like railroad or trains?
Yeah, that was mainly what I painted growing up, honestly.
Really?
It was because I lived close to the train tracks, and so they would park them like close to our house all the time. So we would just go out, paint trains, and go skate.
You know what? Cool. Whenever I run downtown, and every once in a while in the morning, a train will go by, and I actually love it because you see some really cool art on some of those trains.
Oh, yeah, and it's getting better and better every year, too, because now, like, I always explain, I think now at least, train painting is a lot like if you skating curbs. People who get older start to do stuff that's a little bit less, I guess, impactful on their bodies and on,
trust me, I know.
and that kind of stuff. And so, like, nowadays, there's a lot of people who go paint trains out in, like, the Midwest and out in the middle of nowhere where they're just parked. And so instead of having to, like, sneak into a train yard or something like that, where you're kind of, on a time frame, there's a lot of people who have kind of an unlimited time frame for these trains, and they can really make some. And there's also people who can do that with a limited time frame that are just insanely talented.
That's so cool.
Todd says that I have a spray paint addiction because I'm always walking around with a can of spray paint. He calls me a huffer. He's like, "Are we huffing today?" That's what he says I do.
As long as you just have a can of paint and not a bag, then I think you're going to be okay.
That's the telltale sign, the paper bag.
That's where I draw the line.
No paper bags.
What about that place that used to be the spray paint? Have you
ever been there? That place downtown?
Castle Hill.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it started out as a really cool thing and a really cool idea, but over time it just got like overrun by people, and at the end I think it was a little disappointing because there was a whole lot of nothing, and maybe even worse so, before it got to that point, there was people that were doing really beautiful artwork and really awesome, graffiti pieces and stuff that within, 2-3 hours, it's got scribbles of, I love whoever
some tourists
on
who
there.
come along with a can of spray paint and basically deface it.
I took a bunch of teenagers there, so they probably did the same thing. But go ahead.
I was going to say, the city of Austin is working on a project to do a place that is just for graffiti, and there'll be somebody there to make sure that stuff is not defaced.
Oh.
It's going to be kind of a Castle Hill. It's not going to be there, but it's going to be a place with walls that kind of look like they're under construction where people can do art.
Oh, that's really neat.
Did you hear about that, Austin?
Yeah, I have. I think it's an interesting concept for sure.
We'll see. I mean, because they're going to have to govern who comes and paints and
right.
So.
And then with that too, it kind of comes to like, I'm kind of a purist with a lot of things where like, it's not graffiti unless it's illegal. Like you're doing graffiti inspired art maybe, which is totally fine. And I don't think there's a wrong thing to paint or anything like that. But I think there's like a big distinction between graffiti and graffiti inspired art.
So is there kind of an unspoken or maybe a spoken code of conduct that is an understanding between other graffiti artists? I mean, are you guys running into the same people over and over again? You're like, okay, so here's the code of conduct of a graffiti artist.
I think it's like kind of like everything where you would like to think that that's true, but everybody's an individual. So what you may, have as your code of conduct may not be somebody else's. Mm-hmm. So it is kind of a free for all in a way.
Yeah, I guess respecting somebody else's work.
How'd you? So you went from doing some graffiti type art to now you're got a real job doing murals. How did you make that transition?
I mean, so I was a full-time welder before that, and I guess I'll give you like a quick little history brief of me.
For full-time welder, part-time illegal graffiti artist.
So I graduated high school, moved to Austin, delivered pizza for a couple years, moved down to San Marcos, went to Texas State for art for a year. Very expensive, very cool. If you can afford it, art school's awesome, but it is a lot of money. Kind of realized that wasn't for me. And then I moved to Colorado actually for a little bit. That's where I ended up meeting my wife out there. We moved back to Austin, and that's when I was like, all right, I've got a wife, got stuff to do. Like, how are we gonna, make money? So went to welding school, became a welder, worked for a couple fabrication shops, I've always been pretty good with numbers and building stuff. And I was like, I could probably do this on my own. So started my own company, did that for a couple years. And then right before my son was born, it was kind of that fork in the road moment of what am I going to do? Like, welding doesn't make me I loved welding for a time, but at the same time, it wasn't like what made my heart beat, I guess. And so my wife was 7.5 months pregnant. And
that's the perfect time to make a job change.
You're right. It was like, all right, I think we're going to do this. And so I did. And it was a little bit of a transition period where I was actually working with some of my buddies in San Antonio a couple days a week. Welding. Yeah. So I had for sure money coming in, and then I'd go paint murals the rest of the week to kind of, all right, let's dip my toes in, see if this works out. And it just got to the point basically right before he was born that was like, all right, cool. Now I'm at about 75%. I'm not going to get to 100 unless I give it 100. Okay. And
so you were, when you decided to start doing the murals, you got business right away?
For the most part, I've been kind of hustling my whole life. Like in high school, me and my buddies used to make t-shirts in his garage and sell those, and just always been selling art, doing this, doing that. And so I've been pretty good about like marketing and figuring out where I fit in and that kind of stuff.
Who was your very first customer that decided to take a chance on this kid to paint something? Or was it the guy that you just kept randomly doing graffiti on the side? And he's like, dude, I'll pay you to stop.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
The first paid one I did when I quit, because I've been doing murals while I was welding and stuff too, but it wasn't like my main thing, which was kind of frustrating a little bit because I'd see people that I knew hire a mural artist, and I was like, wait, I do murals? Yeah. And then they'd be like, oh, I thought you were welding. And I was like, but I do both. Yeah.
So, that's our life too. You're like, oh, you're podcasters. We are also in real estate.
We don't pay the bills unless we sell some real estate.
Oh yeah. I think
your first commissioned.
The first commission one that I did after leaving welding was for a place up north. It was like a daiquiri place. I can't remember what it was called. Something Thirsty Penguin or something maybe. Okay. I look at that mural today and I'm like, I can't believe you paid me money to do that.
Do they give you an idea of what to paint, or do a lot of people kind of give you like creative freedom? Like you go do you.
So the way that I like to think about like my design process because my main goal is to make art, but also to help businesses. So that was kind of the way that I approached being a mural artist, was that like this has value to other people, like other than just the value of it being pretty or whatever. And so the way that I try to do it is kind of like how a tattoo artist works with their clients, is like, what do you like? You know, try to dig a little bit deeper than just like the surface level stuff. And then also like a tattoo artist, I try to design my mural to fit the building and flow and to, you know, kind of use the aspects, because sometimes there's doors or windows or gutters or a tree or, you know, whatever there might be. And so that's kind of how I do it, is, you know, sit down, have a one-on-one conversation with the business owner and kind of try to figure out what the, you know, the message that they're trying to send is.
Have you ever sat down with somebody and they micromanage you so much you're like, I'm not doing it?
Yes.
Have you?
Oh, yeah.
That's the story of my life.
You're the artist, right? You want them to trust you to come up with some cool art.
Yeah, and usually it's usually just an error on the side of like maybe they picked the wrong person for the job. Like just like a tattoo artist, like if you want, you know, this style tattoo and you go to someone who doesn't do that style, trying to get that, which is why in the beginning I usually try to have those conversations, make sure they've looked over my work. A lot of times I'll try to get them to pick out 3 or 4 murals that they really love that I've already done, just to make sure that they've actually, because a lot of people say they look through it, and I notice later that they never really looked at the art, and 2, so that way we kind of have a direction to go. Yeah.
I want to know what was the strangest encounter that you've had while working on a mural. Did you have somebody go, what are you doing? No, I'm actually getting paid for this.
I haven't really, to be honest with you, I haven't had any. Oh no, that's actually not true. I was painting an electric box downtown for the city of Austin, 5th and Congress.
I saw that on your website. That's very cool.
Yeah, that was a really fun one. But I had a homeless guy come up to me and start yelling at me and tell me not to paint the electric box. And I was like, I'm painting this for the city, like.
And he would not, you, huh?
Yeah, he would not go away. He kept coming back and yelling at me. He went and got the owner of one of the nearby businesses to come out. Eventually, he called the cops, which was hilarious because the cops showed up and, you know, I had to show them my paperwork from the city or whatever that said I could be there. And they were kind of like, what's going on here? I was like, I don't know. That dude really doesn't want me to paint this electric box.
You're painting his headboard on his bed. Yeah. That's where he leans up at night.
I get yelled at by homeless people, too, when I go down.
Yes, she does. I hate going downtown with her. I know I saw that on your website.
Is it on your website?
It's on the homepage. It should be. Yeah, I think you just have to scroll down a little
you know what? Yeah, go here and then click over. Your art is very... it's very obviously yours. I love this. I think that's cool.
Pretty cool. How about what was the most bizarre or funny thing that somebody has asked you to paint?
There. One back.
The funniest thing. Oh,
that's pretty cool. Where'd you say that was? 5th and
Congress.
Okay, next time I go downtown,
that's a pretty prominent corner, to be honest.
You need to run by there and get a picture. I run by there
all the time. I know exactly where that is. Okay. I never knew that you did that. I know exactly where that is.
Oh, right on.
Can you think of something like that was like bizarre even for you? You're like, okay, I'll paint it if you want it.
It wasn't necessarily bizarre, but it was kind of crazy. I painted a mural for, I don't know if you know the comedian Uncle Laser. He does stuff at the Mothership with all those guys. He got famous off of Kill Tony.
Oh, okay. I like Kill Tony.
And I painted his podcast studio, and he's a crazy man in a great way. Love you, Uncle Laser, if you're listening.
I know a lot about crazy. I host a podcast with Michelle.
But he wanted like a 90s style graffiti kind of wall with like a Cadillac with longhorns on the front, with like mushrooms growing, and then like strippers getting abducted by aliens, and it says "hide your mom" in the middle of it. And like that was like, I was like, wow, yeah, I could do that. All right.
Did you do it?
Oh,
you painted it for him. Huh? I wonder if we could find a picture of that.
How many mushrooms did it take for him to come up with that idea?
I noticed
just the right amount.
I noticed I think it was on your bio, you talked about you did some live painting for Formula One.
I did.
What is that?
So I did it. It was actually for one of their events that they had. They had like a lead up party coming up to Formula One for Formula One weekend. And it was alongside with Make-A-Wish program.
Okay.
And so I show up to the event at the same time as everybody else. And then I paint something during the event so they can kind of watch it go from start to finish. And then afterwards they auction it off and then we split. I got half and then half went to the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Cool.
Too,
Oh,
so.
that's really
What did
cool.
you paint for that?
I did a Formula One kind. I'm really good at painting like fabric and flags and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I did like a mix of the Formula One with the Pirelli's logo, kind of like waving in a way.
That's cool.
Yeah, it
What
was
did they sell it for at auction?
I want to say it was like $5 or $6,000.
That's
or something
awesome.
Wow,
like that.
I
Awesome.
snuck into
Love
the
that.
Ducati party a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
Were you there at the Ducati party at Formula
They
One?
had,
Michelle was there. Awesome.
if you act like you're supposed to be
She
there,
just walked. Text her that. She just walks up to the door and says, "I'm on the list." And the lady said, "I don't see your name." And she said, "Well, I'm supposed to be on the list." And the lady said, "Oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
let her in."
I learned that at a really young. My dad used to sneak me into UT football games all the
Oh,
time.
really?
Like, yeah, and so it was probably not a great thing because for the rest of my life, I just go to stuff because you're right.
yeah, if you act like you're supposed to be
I'm
there.
supposed to be here. Don't you know who I am?
Hello. Hello. Is there a trick or like a process, the process that you have when you're mapping out your mural? Like, are you looking at the whole vision? Are you sketching it out first, like on paper, and then you're kind of sketching it out on the wall? Or
Yeah.
walk us through that.
So what I normally do is I'll do a mock-up on my iPad first, send that over, get it approved, and then I'll do like a sketch over the top of that, and then I will take a photo of the wall so that I have, a photo, and then I'll overlay the sketch on top of that, and I'll usually use reference points that are on the wall to kind of see like where things go.
Like a light or an electrical
Yeah,
box.
a light or a
something.
window or like maybe like bricks are great because it's
homeless
already a
person.
grid. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess bricks make it a little like what do you call
It's
that?
already a
like
grid.
graph paper almost. Yeah.
Cracks, all kinds of stuff. If it's like a super flat wall that has nothing like that, then usually the quickest method for me, because I don't like using projectors that much. I have nothing against them.
Yeah.
Like you can use them. I think they're a great tool. But the fastest way for me is called a doodle grid, where a traditional grid is just, squares all across.
Right.
But if you put that up on a giant wall, it'd be really hard to follow the grid because you're up close.
Right.
So you'd have to count squares and you get lost and whatever. So a doodle grid is essentially you doodle all over the wall. It looks like spaghetti or chicken scratch, or some people will do different things. They'll write their name or they'll write like the alphabet. And then you take a picture of that and overlay your sketch over it, and you can follow all those points through without getting lost, and that helps you get the sketch on the wall
That's pretty
a lot
smart.
faster.
Do you understand? It's sort of like he tags the wall
Yeah.
and then
you know
uses
where it
those
is.
as reference. That's
Which-
pretty smart.
It freaks people out when you do it because they're like, "What are you doing on my wall?" And
Yeah.
you're like, "Just trust me."
Yeah.
Trust the process.
How long does it take so say Michelle hired you to do a mural at her house
Of Steve's face.
Yeah, of my face as a dartboard. And
We can make that happen.
Yeah, I bet you can. So, but you go over, you meet with her from that time until you're done with the mural. How long does that take?
Well, I mean, it kind of depends, I guess, because some people have different timelines as far. But the actual painting portion of it, like for me, like around a 10 by 10, I can usually do like a portrait would take like maybe 2 to 3 days.
Okay. Wow, that's good.
Have you ever walked by something that you've done before or has seen and somebody else has tagged it and you're like, oh, I need to go back and fix that?
It actually hasn't happened to me, but it could have something to do with that. Some of those people know who I am, so they don't mess with my murals.
Are you a little bit of a badass in the
No,
group?
not at all. But like we all know, not everybody knows each other, but people
We got
know
our own
of
Hill
each
Country
other, and-
Banksy over here, right?
but it might have something to do with that. Also, I feel like it just depends on what you're painting. Like I think some of the more like what people would consider generic murals tend to get tagged over more often because some of the other, I don't know. You never know with graffiti artists too. Sometimes they're just see a wall and they tag it, and I might just be lucky. Or
I would think though that most graffiti artists are probably either artists or wannabe artists, and they recognize what you do as art, and they don't want to deface it.
Yeah. I also think, personally, I think almost all graffiti artists are considered artists, in my opinion.
Well, I wanted to add, that's a great segue into, what do you say to people that say that graffiti is not art, that it's just trash art, that it has no rhyme or reason to it?
I mean, usually there's not. It's like anything, when people have like their mindset about things, or like have like a very like polarized opinion on something, usually they're probably not going to change their mind.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that there's a lot that goes into graffiti, from color to letter structure to placement. Like, there's a lot of stuff that people don't really think about, especially like people start doing 3Ds. You have to understand perspective, lighting. Like, there's so much that goes into a graffiti piece that a lot of people probably wouldn't recognize. So like, to me, it's all, it's all art.
You mean it's more than happy little trees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also art.
It is art. That's true.
Well, it's true. If you think about it, graffiti, though, you're not doing it for money. You're not doing it because somebody's going to pay you for it. You're doing it for the art. So that's it. When you get down to it, that's the truest form of art.
It's
right?
like,
Truest
it's very,
form of expression.
and like part of it too is you don't want anybody to know who you actually are. So even more so, like, you're not expecting someday, or at least you used
the
to
recognition.
not. Now there's kind of been a change to that, I think, where a lot of people do it with the idea to be recognized personally. It used to be you just wanted your name to be recognized by other people. Now
You want your art
might have been changed a little bit, where people are like, oh, I'm going to do graffiti so I can be famous.
Well, and that's probably because of social media, because probably a lot of those artists finish a piece on a wall or whatever and stand back, snap a picture, and put it on their Instagram.
Right.
Is that what you tell the police officers when you're like, it's art?
Yeah, it's art. Trust me.
Trust me,
Yeah.
please, for
When
sure.
you also do paintings, and I looked at some of your paintings, which they're beautiful. How do you come up with ideas for your paintings?
I usually come up with like kind of a rough idea. A lot of it's just stuff that I like or inspires me. I like
that one.
Is there a style to your, is your art, do you have a certain, obviously you were talking about
It's
the graffiti
very
art.
diverse. It's almost like you have different styles.
Yeah, because I see your like faces, and I know faces are really hard to paint.
Right.
Right? That would be really hard to paint.
Yes, it's hard to capture
face.
beauty, and that's all its glory.
That face, that's something. Yeah, that is something.
Oh, look,
But-
there's Michelle right there.
Yeah.
The turtle.
Turtle.
But you started to say, Austin, so how do you come up with the ideas, and what would you say your style is?
I think my style changes a lot, but it depends too, because like some of these paintings that we're looking at now are some like older paintings and stuff, where now I feel like my style of art has or at least I've been told, because I still feel the same way. Like, I've always liked a lot of different styles of art to begin with. So whatever's kind of speaking to me at that time, I like. There was a time where I didn't have a lot of money, so I was using a lot of different like mediums. So I was doing whatever style of art made sense for that medium that I was using, or whatever I was trying to draw or paint with those things. But as I've, been doing this more and kind of developed my own style, now it seems like no matter what I paint, it comes through as my style. But typically what I think of in design, it goes back and forth between different things. But a lot of the things I design, I almost think of it as like an altar to the idea. And I'm building that in the same kind of way, where there's like a centerpiece and then some, extra things, and then maybe we want it to flow, or I guess it kind of depends on what we're painting.
Yeah. Are all of these done with an airbrush?
Spray paint.
Spray paint. They're all done with spray paint with a can.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That is pretty cool.
The website is OSTEN-art, austin-art.com. Amazing stuff.
Thank you.
Really
I
Say
appreciate
Austin.
it.
Austin.
Austin.
No, it's Austin.
It's Austin. Austin.
Because I bet austin-art.com was taken, probably, wasn't it?
So actually the way that I started writing Austin that way was when we were all coming up with our graffiti names when we were like 12 or 13. was that like people are, they're like, I'm Mouse or I'm, whatever. And I was like, I'm just going to spell my name all dumb. And
it's cool though.
Oh, that is pretty neat. That is, well, I mean, why not have Austin live in Austin?
Yeah, right.
Have you drawn your children yet?
Oh, yeah, I actually just did a mural of my son this weekend.
Oh.
We had a big mural festival in San Marcos. And I did, it's 20 feet tall.
Wow. Oh, that is so cool.
Have you ever had somebody approach you about doing a mural and you just refused to do it?
There's murals that I've been asked to do that I felt like I wasn't the right person to do that mural.
Well, what about somebody that you could do it, but you just didn't feel good about doing it?
That's kind of what I mean, is that there's I've had people ask me to do murals for let's say Black History Month. And I'm like, why?
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It just doesn't speak
I'm like,
to
that
you.
just
You're not
doesn't
motivated
make
by it.
sense. Well, I'm just why would you want some white dude to go paint a Black History mural?
Yeah,
good point.
Be
Yeah.
true to the.
If you're gonna do that, then you should hire somebody from their community to do that.
That makes sense to me.
So that's typically what it is, where it's something that I'm just I don't really know why. Could I do it? Absolutely, I could, but I just don't know why. Shouldn't you?
It would, celebrate
the
that.
artist that,
You should be celebrating whatever it is that you're celebrating. That's,
one of the things that I thought was kind of funny and sad at the same time was when Kobe had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
All over the country, these Kobe Bryant murals were popping up, and his daughter, and some of them were pretty amazing, and some were pretty horrific. But I actually saw one in LA, and it was pretty. Oh wow, it was totally amazing.
Yeah.
But I would feel like there would be a lot of pressure or something like that. Some sort of celebrated hero for a lot of people, and now you're painting their
I
face.
could totally see that, the pressure to make that absolutely perfect in everybody's eyes, because, what is that? Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Well, yeah, and you have all
Right.
these, now all of a sudden everybody's an art critic,
Yeah.
that's true too. Yeah.
Austin, how do you figure out how much to charge people for these things?
$1 million, right, Austin?
$1
No, I just ask them how much they have in their wallet.
I got $1.50. Can you pay me a mural?
It's right here.
Yeah.
Little more for Santa Claus.
No, I charge by the square foot, so
Okay.
it just depends on the size. And then I do discounts for kids' rooms and stuff like that, because I paint my kids' rooms, and I think it's cool for kids to have badass
Their
art.
own place. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and so
I agree.
I do that.
Do you listen to music when you're doing this?
Yes.
What kind of music? Let me guess. It's probably George Strait or it's some hardcore screamo rock, right?
No, actually, it's pretty diverse. My favorite music is reggae.
Really?
Oh yeah. I'm actually one of the mural art directors for the Dallas Reggae Festival.
Oh, how
Really?
cool is
And
that?
it's super fun. Yeah, I've always loved reggae music. Reggae, it's either reggae, punk rock, or outlaw country. So
Outlaw country.
There
I'll
you
go with
go.
that. I like reggae too, but I like the old reggae stuff. I guess there's still new reggae music coming out now, right?
there is. Yeah.
I feel like once Bob Marley passed away, reggae kind of changed for me. But
Yeah.
Oh,
I
you're
still
a
love
purist. You're a reggae
I'm not
purist.
a purist. I'm not a purist.
I will agree with you though. I think the old roots reggae is the top
I
tier
know
for sure.
You can never you can listen to a Bob Marley song anytime, any day, and you'll be moved by it.
Oh, yeah.
No matter where you're at. So, what advice do you have for young artists or even old artists about how to move forward if they want to be an artist?
Well, you can be an artist no matter what. There's I think there's a huge misconception that unfortunately a lot of artists have that because we do art, we should be able to make a living doing it. And I just don't think that that's for everybody. And I always use the comparison of people like to play golf, but you don't necessarily hear a lot of people being I should be able to just do this for a living and be serious about that statement.
Yeah.
I've heard that statement before, but it was a joke.
Right.
And so I think it's important as an artist to kind of know what you want out of art. There's a lot of different possibilities for that. You might just enjoy painting and that's all you want to do. And that's awesome. I did that for years.
Yeah.
But then there's also, do I want to do this as a business? And as a business, I think it's important, any business that you might have, to figure out who your potential clients would be, why they would want your art, who they are, all those kinds of normal business questions
business
that you would have
decisions,
to kind of try to figure out, like, how am I actually going to do this? Figure out how much money you want to make, per year, and then how many paintings or whatever it is that you're creating would I need to sell during this year in order to reach this goal. So basically just like mapping out any business. If you want to do art as a business, it is a business.
Yeah, you got to treat it as a business, like anything. Yeah.
Do you have to get permits for some of this stuff?
Depends on where it is, and what it is too, actually.
Oh, really?
So like in San Marcos, you can have a mural painted on the side of your building with no permitting. But if you put your business logo or any type of signage, you do need a permit because then it becomes signage and not art. Yeah, so
that's an interesting caveat there.
Right. So it depends on where you are. But I tell people, I'm like, that's not my job.
Yeah.
You're going to have to figure out if you need a permit.
So you don't do that process.
I do not. Yeah. I don't like to get involved in all that kind of stuff. And also I've been kind of, like forgiveness.
Yeah, that's how I live my life.
That's our motto too. Beg for
just,
forgiveness. Don't ask for permission.
Let's paint it and we'll figure it out.
100%.
Yeah. Austin, how are you spreading the word about what you do? How do people find out about you?
A lot of it's word of mouth, honestly. I've been doing it full time. This will be my 4th year, but I know a lot of people just from welding and all that kind of stuff. So, and also too, when I first started out, one of the main clients that I noticed that Airbnbs were really big. And this was when Airbnbs were like thriving, and that there was a huge opportunity to paint murals for Airbnbs, but I hadn't really seen any. And so my idea was like, I'll go on Facebook, because I bet you there's groups of people who own Airbnbs that are all together talking about their Airbnbs. And so I found there was like Austin Airbnb hosts, San Antonio, Dripping Springs. So I got on all these places and started posting my work and saying, I offer mural services, blah, blah, blah. My first year, I did like 52 or 53 Airbnb murals. But with that too, a lot of people who own Airbnbs are entrepreneurs as well. So they usually have other businesses. And so it all kind of like fed into that kind of thing. And, just kind of all worked out.
We have 2 Airbnbs, so I might have to talk to you about that.
I talked to him. He actually has one in the historic district, and I said, it would be really cool to have one on that back fence. Yeah.
Oh, the fence. Oh, God, geez, that's a big fence.
No, just one little section.
Charges per square foot.
One section of it.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Think
Austin,
of the pictures.
I might have to have you come over one day and take a look at that. That would be fun.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah.
Think of the pictures. When do you want me to do the rapid fire? You got?
I have a couple more.
Okay.
I think you mentioned in your bio that I think I read this right. Skateboarding influences your art. Is that right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I paint skateboarding stuff.
Okay. I saw one.
That's one of the parts. And then 2, like I grew up looking at skateboard graphics a lot. And so kind of back to what I was saying before with the way that I design and almost like an alter kind of, idea, a lot of in my opinion, a lot of the old skateboard graphics are very similar to that, where there's, like a central element surrounded by other smaller elements, and then, like verbiage or, the skateboarder's name or something like that. And so that helps me a lot too.
So I know a lot about that because I skated in the 70s and 80s, way before
when
you
it was
were born.
invented. It was invented back then.
No, you Tony Alva?
I actually painted a mural of Tony Alva.
Did you really?
I did, yeah.
That was, man, I remember.
And Jay Adams.
Yeah. I remember getting Skateboarding Magazine and seeing all these guys in Southern California skating in these empty pools and, these fancy neighborhoods. And we were living overseas then, and I just dreamed about coming back to the States one day and living that life.
I'm a skateboarder
now I'm an old
too.
man. I'm afraid to fall off.
I can skateboard. I can get on my tummy.
You lay on it, and do a little
like
dog
a seal.
paddle seal. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And then you mentioned you feel sometimes like you need to do more to get to the next level in that. Tell me about that. Like, you feel like you're reaching your potential, and if you're not, what are you going to do to reach your potential?
I think it's just something that I've always struggled with is just like more. I just need to do more. Like I'm not doing it. I'm doing so much too. Like, I'm so busy like most days, I'm booked out to like mid-May right now. Damn. And so it's like, I have to, pick times to not be busy to, hang out with my family and stuff like that. But it always seems like there's something else that I could do. And like, that is a positive and a negative, I guess. But I think also like with the art thing is that like, I'm just always trying to push myself further and further and, be better to myself. And I think it's it's a blessing and a curse because I'm happy with the piece for maybe like 5 minutes. And then I'm like, I'll just start tearing it apart and I'm ready to just do the next one so that I can do better.
That's kind of cool though, because you're always looking for your boundary. You haven't found it yet.
Yeah, I hope I don't.
Cool. No, I hope you don't either, because you always want to be pushing forward, right? Trying to improve, looking at what you're doing and thinking, okay, how can I do that better? I think that's really cool.
See, you broke my YouTube, right? Right when you said that, the YouTube just stopped right there. So that was good. I know. I was like, oh no. What? Okay. I want to go back, way back. You're this skater kid in Houston, and you're wanting to kind of change your life up a little bit, and kind of popped around, moved to Austin. Now you're this well-established entrepreneurial. You're a young man. You know what you want in your life. You're granted you're changing things up. But I want to ask you, what is the best part now from where you thought you were 10, 15 years ago now to being a dad and to the man that you are now compared to 10, 15 years ago?
The best part? The best part is like, my wife and kids, they're the best. And then the next best part is that I get to do what I love pretty much every day and set an example for them to show them that, it's going to take a lot of work and there's a lot of things that are like, it can be very scary at times owning your own business and having a family. Yeah. But when you persevere and work through the things and don't run away from them, that like you can really make the life of your dreams.
Oh, that's cool.
I couldn't have
we should just wrap up on that, but I got more questions.
We're done. Well, I have a couple of rapid fire. Okay.
What do you wish everyone that you meet knew about what you do? Like, what kind of frustrates you that you just wish everybody knew about it?
I wish more people didn't think it was easy because like, no matter how, like, professional baseball is not easy because they're really good at it. And like, same with art is like, most of the thing I get is, oh man, I couldn't draw a stick figure or whatever. And I'm like, well, how long did you try to draw that stick figure for? If it was for 1 minute, then I also can only draw a stick figure in 1 minute. Yeah. Like you got to put in the time. And like, I don't think a lot of people realize that like, I've probably done well over 10,000 hours worth of painting, even before I started painting murals. And even then I thought I sucked. Yeah. It's like, there's so much time. There's so many nights where I stayed up till, 5, 6 in the morning, or I would weld all day for 12 hours and come home and paint till 3 in the morning and get up and do it again. Or, so many like shows and things you go to and you just don't sell. Like there's a lot of like hardship. But I personally, I never really think about it that much unless someone asks about it, because to me, it's just what I do. Right. It is hard, but like everything's hard. Welding's hard. Taxes are hard.
Well, anything you want to be good at is hard. Right. Like anybody can get okay at something. If you want to really excel at it, it takes a lot of work.
And you got to be kind of crazy.
You do.
Like I'm kind of crazy. Like there's times where I'm in the middle of a project and I wake up like 5, 6 times in the middle of the night and I'm like thinking about it. There's been times where I've left the house at like 4 in the morning because I have keys to wherever I'm painting, and I'm just like, sorry, baby, I'm going to go paint because I can't stop thinking about this. I'll be back. I'll be home early. But,
that's so cool.
But I'm leaving.
That's probably one of the reasons you're so talented, because you're so passionate about it. Yeah. That's really cool.
I bet your wife's like, oh, go ahead and leave and go to your girlfriend, the spray paint. Spray paint bottle. Spray paint.
All right, rapid fires? You
rapid fire, I got them. Okay. Your favorite medium, do you like spray paint or paintbrush?
Spray paint.
Spray paint. Are you, when it comes to painting, do you like, you kind of just answered this, but do you prefer early morning or late at night?
Early morning, actually.
The light?
Yeah.
Or is that?
Well, I don't know. There's 2 answers to that too, I guess. Like I'm a kind of a morning person now, since I was welding for so long and
you have little kids.
And got used to it. Yeah. So I operate better in the mornings. And so usually I try to get there early and paint as much as I can. But there's also something to be said about painting in the middle of the night that like there's nothing like there's jobs I've had where I had to stay overnight. Like I couldn't start till like 11 p.m. and then paint all night. And there's something kind of magical about that where you're just like got your headphones or your boombox blaring, nobody's awake.
It's just you and the zombies.
Dark, and
That's it, yeah.
you're just like in the zone. So
That's cool.
That's pretty neat. Okay, so what is your favorite city so far that you've got to paint in?
my favorite city that I've got to paint in. I honestly, I kind of fell in love with St. Louis a little bit.
Huh.
It's surprising, right? But it's a really cool city. Like I'd never been there before I started painting there. Now I've been there 3 separate times to go paint. And I just have the best time. Everyone's so nice. Like it's fun. It kind of reminds me of the Wild West a little bit. Like it's an interesting place. There's so much history there too. Like you could walk around and you can go into all these old abandoned buildings and see signs from like 150 years ago.
Wow.
And like I like the history of stuff like
Oh,
that.
that's
It's
cool.
kind of
People probably say, "Oh, St. Louis is like Austin was 75 years ago."
Oh, no.
That's what everybody measures their towns by.
Have you or would you ever paint your own face on a mural?
probably. Actually, it's funny you say that. Someone asked me that the other day, and I don't think I would. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I just don't think I'd want to look at myself all day.
Just paint it in St. Louis. You won't have to look at it all the time. Who is your favorite painter, living or dead?
My favorite painter living. Well, I mean, I love Dolly.
Oh,
But also there's this artist, Drew Brophy in California, that is an insane surf artist. And his work is some of the work that got me super, super inspired.
how do you spell his last name?
Broph.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, there we
look at
go.
that. Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that is pretty neat. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
and his wife, Maria, is like a business genius. And she wrote this book called Art, Money, Success. This is the podcast that I was on with her, actually. But her book, Art, Money, Success, was like a huge tool that I called it the Artist Bible for a while. I still think that's true. But it's really, really good for helping artists start businesses and kind of understand what
What
they're
a
getting
gift
into.
that they gave back. Yeah, that is pretty cool. Okay, my last question. Have you ever thought of, and we mentioned him earlier, going full Banksy, just doing some really kind of cool piece of art and just not letting anybody know that it was you and walking away from it, aside from the graffiti aspect, like just a real, unique piece downtown Austin, downtown Dripping, wherever it was?
I mean, so the difference between Banksy and doing that is that like no one really cares when you do that, because like I've done that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's been but yeah, Banksy's just who he is. So
He just has some
like-
really cool pieces, though.
Yeah, no, they're definitely cool. But I mean, I guess like I kind of do that.
He does that. So you kind of already are.
Yeah.
Austin, this has been just an
I got
amazing.
one more question. I'm sorry.
What's that?
If somebody here locally in the Austin
yeah.
area wanted to see a couple of your pieces you're really proud of, the one Fifth and
Oh, yeah,
Congress is pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
Are there a couple others you think people would enjoy seeing?
Yeah, I've got 5 of them actually over at Impact Sports on 290 right
Okay.
down the road from
Okay,
here.
okay.
It's a really cool organization too. They help give sponsorships to kids who can't afford to play sports and stuff like that.
Yep.
They sell, used sporting equipment, and all that money goes to help with the kids and stuff too. So definitely go by and check them out. Because
Impact Sports, okay.
I've got a bunch of murals there, and also the owner Rusty's super cool and helps the community and stuff like that. I did Rosehaven, which I believe
Yes.
is
Oh, yeah.
gone now. I did the outside of that.
I didn't know
one.
Those
you did
roses,
that
you
one.
did all that.
Yeah,
That's
I did
cool.
those. San Marcos, I've got a bunch of murals there. If you type in CCI Computers and walk down the alleyways, it's me, and actually we just had the mural festival back there. So it's like me plus like 30 other really, really talented artists that are there.
Have you ever thought about applying to the stars, any of the stars that they're doing?
No, I haven't. I'll be honest. I don't like applying for stuff that much. I love cities, but typically like the bureaucracy of everything.
Well, I think it's so new, quite honestly, and we've got this new. It's the Dripping Springs City or
Dripping
the
Springs Art League.
Art League, and I think they're
Yeah,
so.
I kind of get it though. What you're saying that you kind of have to fit into a template, into a mold, and that your art doesn't seem to be like that.
Yeah, and I don't think there's like I was saying before, I think there's artists for everything and every niche and stuff like that. And like I kind of prefer to go with clients that like choose my artwork and want to work with me, as opposed to like asking if I can do it, which like, you know, you can get those and stuff. And I've got so many friends that almost strictly do like, you know, city work, and they do beautiful murals. So it's not that you can't do like a really cool, amazing piece with the city. It's just I would rather spend my time, you know, looking and talking with people that are already interested in what I'm doing.
Sure. If somebody wants to hire you, where can they find out more, and how can they get connected with you?
At the railroad tracks at first.
Look for the train.
Yeah. My Instagram is probably the best place to see all of my work in one place. I do video, like process videos, you know, photos, all that kind of stuff on there.
So your Instagram is at OST3NArt, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the best place to see all of my work. My email address is austinart@gmail.com. Also, I have my information on like everything.
Yeah.
So
you've got a
YouTube also. Yeah.
Oh, I don't keep that up to date.
Neither do we. That's okay. Nobody watches our YouTube.
We have not figured out the YouTube now.
There's the stripper getting abducted by
aliens.
My
God.
Which one is it? Where am I seeing?
The orange down one. To the right. There's Rosehaven. That's right next to Rosehaven.
Oh my god.
Those are so cool. Yeah, you gotta go.
You do that, all of that with a spray can. That's amazing.
That is really cool. Gosh, you're talented. You are
really
so
awesome.
talented.
And I love your business philosophy, how you're really taking this on as a real business, but not giving up your passion for the art.
Yeah, because I think there's a way that you can do both. And also, too, like, over time, you can taper and change things. Like when I first started painting murals, I was pretty much doing anything anybody would give me. I'll paint your sign, I'll paint your kid's name, I'll paint a butterfly or a flower or whatever.
Yeah. A stripper alien.
Right. But then with that, I got a lot better about talking with my clients and kind of guiding them in the direction that I think is the best. And then also, you know, doing more work that I was really happy with and kind of promoting that more. Because when people see you post something, that's what they think you do. So for a lot of the younger artists, I'll tell them, like, you can do mural jobs and you don't have to post them on your social media if they're not, like, what you feel driven to do. Like, pick the ones that you really love, because when people see it, that's what they're going to ask you to do. So you can taper that, you know, as well.
You know, Austin,
very cool.
You're an amazingly impressive young man, and I'm very impressed with you. Just truly, you're very articulate. You know what you want. And I wish that we had more young people like you of this age that just kind of were very driven. You were a very driven person, and you're such a good example to your family and your kiddos.
Oh, thank you so much.
And you have a special talent, and you've really done a lot of cool things with it. So I'm really glad that you agreed to spend this time with us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank y'all so much for having me. I've enjoyed myself.
Did you bring me some spray paint?
Yeah, I got a truck full.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
I bet you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, are you taking donations?
Yeah, we want one of those cool hats. So. All right, thank you very much, Austin Sepulveda. Welcome, or thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no, thank y'all so much.
Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This thoughtfully designed 55-plus community is paired with resort-style amenities and social activities. They offer 1- and 2-bedroom homes located in Dripping Springs, the gateway to the Hill Country. Make friends, make memories, make time for you at Jovi Belterra. Live JoviBelterra.com, 737-387-6870.
From rodeo clowns, teachers or doctors, and everyone in between, Texans have one thing in common: hard work deserves smart banking. At Southstar Bank, whether you're buying your first home, building a dream ranch, or just managing daily finances, our 16 branches across Central Texas are here for you. Southstar Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, and built for Texas. SouthstarBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender, NMLS 410624.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Get to know your local full-service Generac dealer.
Cody and Dylan with Nomic Power Solutions are a veteran-owned, Texas-based Generac dealer and installer.
Offering low monthly payment options, it's never been easier to gain independence from the grid.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Turnkey service including design, plumbing, electrical, and permits.
They even offer set it and forget it maintenance plans. Nomic Power Solutions.
Protect your home. Protect your family. Stay ready.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at malletandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.